right, well, why don't we get started here? As I had mentioned, my name is Scott Gallagher. I'm the founder of One Marketing. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself in one of the next slides here. But today's presentation is specifically for chiropractors, and I'm very excited to provide this webinar for all of you. Now, just a little bit about myself, just so you can decide whether or not you want to listen to some of the things I say or whatnot. But first off, I am a father. You can see a picture of my son there. And I'm an author. I've got 2 books that are published at this point in time, and I love to snowboard. An adrenalinist, I like to do a lot of different things. This past weekend, I was out playing hockey on the rink in Crystal Lake, Illinois. That's where I live. My office is located in Algonquin, Illinois. Now, I did graduate from a university up in Canada, but unlike your practice and in the world of business, a lot of aspects of business tend to be learned after the fact of getting that piece of paper. But nonetheless, I did have a specialty in marketing. Now, in 2005, I moved to the United States from Canada. And I've been here ever since, founded my company as well in 2005. That is now One Marketing. And we've got 200 different clients that we've worked with, over 200 clients now, probably approaching 300. And mostly in the transportation industry, but you'll learn why I am working and trying to work with chiropractors now. We do have a couple of chiropractic clients and dental and attorney. So a variety of different businesses that are out there. In 2009, I co-founded a company called NAPREX, that's National Parcel Express. We deliver packages, same-day delivery across the country, as well as Local Marketing Source. And Local Marketing Source is an education portal. I had the opportunity to really learn and understand this internet marketing game for small business, and a lot of people started to ask me about it, and so I started to write about it, and I've got a membership program. And in that program, there's over 100 different training videos and different sales presentations and whatnot to get people going. And I also enjoy speaking. I speak at different industry events and work with some of the bigger names out there like StomperNet and Marketer's Brain Trust. Now, as I had mentioned, why I'm doing this presentation specifically for chiropractors, and I've shifted my focus in the last 6 months of my agency to focus specifically in helping chiropractic practices, and it's a personal reason. First off, my son's mom evaded C-section. She received the Webster's technique, and it worked flawlessly. The story behind it was amazing. I say the nurse there was appalled at the MDs. I had a nurse that just literally lifted her hands up and she couldn't believe it, that this simple little technique from Dr. Larry Webster evaded a C-section when the MDs were suggesting your only 2 alternatives were, cesarean section or external version. So that really made a really big impact. My daughter, she used to get nosebleeds 3 times a week, and after beginning to get adjusted, they completely went away. So chiropractic, I mean, if you're a parent, you can understand, something that changes your children's lives like that. There's a lot of passion. It just took me a long time to really why I hadn't been focusing on chiropractors, and the reason why I focused on the transportation industry is because of contacts. But now it's become a lot more personal. And my son now asks for adjustments on a regular basis, and I believe that that's his innate intelligence. His body understands the benefits of chiropractic care, and he's an extremely healthy, very, very successful hockey player at 8 years old. It's absolutely wonderful. I'm a very firm believer. Now, my sister is a chiropractor. She practices in Australia, in Melbourne, Australia, and she's a graduate of Palmer. My sister has been, she's got her story in the book called Chicken Soup for the Chiropractic Soul. She's also been profiled by the ICPA, and she continues to send stories. As a matter of fact, I got a story that I'm just going to tell you in the next slide that I received this morning. It was just ironic that I'm doing this presentation. I really wanted to share that with you. But when I say that we need to get from 8% to at least 18%, but I mean 8% is a percentage found in the United States of people that get chiropractic care. And they say that at 18% you've got the mass momentum. And I believe that once the chiropractic industry reaches the saturation rate of 18%, it's just going to be a go-to thing, just like dentists. And I want to be able to be a part of helping to change the world. I don't like to use the word alternative medicine. Chiropractic care is definitely not alternative medicine. Unfortunately, people look at it as alternative. Maybe pharmaceutical drugs should be the alternative. But here's an email. I just got this email this morning. I know I've got some of my sister's friends that are on the line right now, and I'm just going to read this to you. And this is from Carrie Ann Gallagher, DC, over in Melbourne, Australia. And she says, I just got a phone call late last night that a baby patient of mine was having seizures and is taken to ambulance to the hospital. The mother called me and asked if I could come to the hospital that night and adjust the baby. I got to the hospital as quickly as I could. It was a 45-minute drive. I adjusted the baby in ICU. Before I got there, she had 12 seizures in the matter of hours. I returned this morning to adjust her again. After my first adjustment last night, she didn't have any more seizures, and today she was transferred from intensive care unit to a regular ward. The hospital could not find any reason for the seizures. I am so thankful for this baby was able to receive some chiropractic care as her body dealt with these seizures. Her mom called me today and said that they're going home tomorrow. That's a picture of my niece on the right-hand side receiving chiropractic care. She had an extremely, extremely hard first 7 days of her life, as you can see, and that's Iona Grace. Now Iona is a very, very healthy, smart little girl. So cute. She's got her little Australian accent. So I thought I would share that story. I threw this slide in at the last minute. I know everybody on the line can definitely appreciate that. And you guys are changing the world. But today, we're going to learn about how to find patients or how to be present on the internet so patients can find you. And in order to do that, we're going to look at what is required to get a #1 ranking on all the major search engines for your practice. And we're going to talk about organic and local results. If you can see the different results on that little image there, everything that's in yellow is the paid results. Everything that's in pink are called the local results, and blue is organic. And the pink and the blue results you can't pay for. You can't pay Google to get you listed there. Excuse me, it's all organic. So the local results are called Google Places. And within Google Places, there's 3 pillars that are very relevant in order to get your practice focused in on. And those are profiles, citations, and reviews. Now, in addition to that, we're going to take a look at some of the ranking factors that are found in these different listings. And when I talk about citations, these are web references of your practice on the internet. I'm going to give you guys strategies on where to get and what are the highly relevant and highly authoritative citation sources for chiropractic firms. Citations as well, we're going to look at some strategies on how to acquire some of those from those particular sources. And then, of course, reviews. Remember, word of mouth advertising is your #1 form of advertising. You guys don't deal in an industry where you get a lot of different referrals, and I mean from doctors or different practices out there, maybe massage therapists or yoga studios you may. But you've got to work very, very hard on getting referrals from your patients. Well, we're going to leverage that, and I'm going to show you what I call my review acquisition system. As a matter of fact, you're going to be able to download it at the end of this webinar and implement it into your practice right away. No charge for that. I'll give you a link for that. It's an extremely powerful aspect to ranking and getting exposure on the internet. We're also going to look at some different review websites that are out there and the filters. We get a lot of questions about the filters, saying people, oh, they left me reviews and they're not showing up, and I'll give some meaning and reason behind that. Just want to see if I've got any questions. Okay, good. We're going strong here, folks. All right. Now, before we get started, just like anything that you do, if you've got 2 things at your disposal. You've got money and you've got time, and both of those you really can't trade one for the other. In a sense, I guess you can. But if you're going to be spending your time and or money on something, it is very, very important to measure what you're doing, to measure your results so you can make changes. And some of the things that you'll want to measure are, of course, your rankings, where you rank. And I always provide the argument that if you're not in the top 3 results for your top keyword, that's going to be, I'm in Chicagoland area, so that would be chiropractor in Chicago. That's your keyword. A keyword has got different components to it. You've got a geomod, which is Chicago, your geographical modifier, and then you've got your core term called chiropractor or chiropractic, and those are your 2 major core terms in your industry. And then we add another extension to it, and it's called a core modifier, and that may be pediatric chiropractor. So pediatric portion would be your core modifier. But essentially, you want to monitor your rankings on a weekly or a monthly basis in terms of your top keywords. Now, referrals and traffic as well, once you're putting time and money into something, how is this helping me? And has my traffic to my website ultimately helped? You can get traffic to your website, but you've also got to convert that traffic. And conversions are something that we're going to talk a little bit about that as we get on with the slides here. But citations, again, these are web references and or links. You want to measure those and where you're getting them and track those. And of course, leads and sales. Well, these are going to be prospective patients and new patients that you get on a weekly or monthly basis. Obviously, at the end of the day, everything that you do, that's what's most important. The more patients that you have, the more people that you can help, and the more you can pursue your passions, why you went to school in the first place. And of course, finally, how much is things going to cost me if I'm spending money on it? All right, so the 3 pillars of local search I had mentioned were profiles, citations, and reviews. Let's go ahead and take a look at some profiles now, and what are profiles and how we can enhance our profiles to get listed. And your first tool that we're going to talk about is getlisted.org. Write that down right now, getlisted.org, www.getlisted.org. You're going to put in your practice name and your zip code, and it's going to give you exposure on the internet in terms of which sites you've got claimed, which ones you own, which ones you don't own, what you can manage, and it's ultimately going to give you a score. You can see here we've got an example. If your score is below 70%, you definitely have room for improvement. Now, when you're creating these listings, I'm going to give you a list of all the different sites that you can get listings for as well in a few moments. But when you were filling these out, the profiles, number 1 key is to make sure that the profiles are filled out 100%. And that, like, one of the very first things that we're taught in marketing is customer segmentation. And that is one of the biggest things that is missed in my industry, search engine optimization industry or search marketing. And segmenting your customer base, for example, you can take 2 chiropractors. One may be a pain specialist and one may be a wellness doctor. And both of those chiropractors are going to position themselves very, very different. Even though they went to the same schools and got the same education and the outside of their office may look the same, you're going after different patients. And understanding the patients that you're working with, the marketing material that's going to be created for your practice ultimately should speak to those patients. If you're in pediatric care or if you focus on sciatica, the list goes on, and more I'm seeing and learning about how chiropractors are ultimately specializing in a variety of different symptoms to move forward. So your profile should definitely be focused on that, and that's where you're going to go ahead and create compelling descriptions for your brand and your philosophy, the different symptom care that you take care of, and your own personal message as a chiropractor, because you guys are all different. And we know that as a patient, I've got choices of different chiropractors I can go to. Well, I'm going to go to the chiropractor that I resonate with the best and their message that they share. Now, listing on the internet, most of you are going to have practices, and I hope you're not practicing from home. I don't even know if that's legal. But a physical address is absolutely very important, and this is your NAP. NAP is NAP, stands for name, address, and phone number. Now, you can see an example that I have here, 647. Let's see, I think I got some drawing tools here. So I'm looking at right here. 647 N First Bank Drive. The N being north. Well, every time I create a profile, I should utilize N. Don't write north in some, N in others. Same thing for first. If you're going to write it out in a certain way, make sure that it is written out in the exact same way in all your profiles. Drive, DR, or just drive, whatever you're going to put. Choose a particular NAP and ultimately stick with it. Now get rid of this pen and go back and remember I had mentioned word of mouth advertising. Well, testimonials are your best tool to convert prospective patients into patients. And having your testimonials on your website is one thing is important, but number two, we're going to talk about something called an HTML markup language. That's basically using the code. HTML is the code to build a website, and utilizing that code to wrap it around the testimonial to tell the search engines to say, hey, this is a testimonial. I want you to read this. And it's amazing how many sites out there don't have this. And this is a big factor in ranking, guys. I say it week after week after week on my calls. I do calls on a weekly basis. And it's amazing how many sites that exist out there that don't have their testimonials wrapped in this HTML markup. Again, filling out your profiles 100%. Utilize all the categories that these search engines can give you. As a matter of fact, last week, Google has just unveiled that their category section, they're now pulling in categories from Yelp and Yahoo and Bing and Best of the Web. That's a big deal in my industry. So utilize your categories as much as you possibly can. Now, as mentioned, testimonials are very good. And reviews. Reviews are something different. I'm going to talk about reviews near the end of this presentation as well. But videos, video testimonials are extremely powerful for conversion. And photos are also very, very important. Don't use stock photography at all. I strongly advise against that. Get a professional photo shoot of your location, both inside and out, and upload as many photos as these sites will allow you to upload. Now, things that you want to avoid, you're a local business. You got a local establishment. You've got a service area. Well, maybe some of you are going to be 10 miles, some of you are going to be 2 miles, but on average about 5-mile radius. Patients will come and visit you. So don't use 800 numbers. Do not put up UPS boxes or PO boxes on any of those. Don't try to get multiple pages or anything like that. Here's a list of some additional do nots and what to do's. You can go to bit.ly/LMS places. Don't use phone number tracking on local. Use your phone number that's provided to you by your incumbent carrier. It's very important. And having multiple pages for one single location is a big no-no. Now, of the different data providers that are out there, I'm just going to give you a taste of them. We work with dozens and dozens and dozens of different data providers out there. There's at least 80 that we will acquire for our customers. But we've broken them down into the major search engines. Here's 4 of the major search engines. Again, there's probably 12 or 15 different search engines that are available out there. And then, of course, there's data providers. This is a short list of data providers, but these are the 4 biggest ones that are out there. You definitely want to be listed on those. And then you've got some secondary data providers here. You don't need to write this down. You can take a screenshot just for your reference. I am recording this presentation, but the giveaways at the end of the webinar will not be disclosed during the recorded presentation. I will be emailing you the recorded presentation in 3 or 4 days as well. All right, now citations and links. They're interchangeable. Whether it's a link to your website or a citation being a web reference with your NAP, citations are a very core part of getting your business ranked. The more citations you have, the more authoritative, relevant citations that you have, the higher you're going to rank. All right, now, first off, we've got to understand the internet marketing equation. Qualified traffic. That's not going to be somebody from Australia that's coming to your website. That's not a qualified individual or somebody that's 15 miles away. Who cares? They're more than likely not going to come and become your patient. So qualified traffic is very, very important. And then conversion also is important. And that's when once people get to your website and they want to do what's called a call to action. That's either pick up the phone and call you and ask some questions, or come into the office or set an appointment. So with that, and having said that, all of your efforts online should have a high impact, high value experience. Now, if we go to the American Marketing Association and get the definition of what marketing is, I don't remember it word for word. I should probably memorize it because I say that every time I do this presentation. But the whole gist of their definition is that marketing, by definition, is creating content that has value to an audience and society at large, including customers, past customers, and prospects. A good brochure that discusses what you're doing and whatnot is a piece of marketing. Well, in the world of search engine optimization, that's the process of getting your website listed and ranked #1 on Google. You do the exact same thing. You create content of relevancy, and you don't just blast it all over the internet and go and just get a bunch of people to write some articles and distribute it all over the internet. That's not proper distribution. That's actually going to hurt you in the end. I can get into all of that, but that's not essentially what we're here for. In other words, you're creating material that both your patients and prospective patients are ultimately going to gain high value from, perhaps some education. In addition to that, you've got to be very transparent on the internet and expose your business out there. A lot of people really frown at the whole idea of reviews, and when somebody has a negative review, well, don't worry about negative reviews, because if you're doing your job properly, you're going to get a ton of positive reviews that are going to vastly outweigh that one negative review that you may get on an annual basis. Now, when I say don't chase the algorithm, I would say 90% of my industry, that's what people do, is they understand all the little aspects. We call them ranking factors. There's well over 10,000 different ranking factors that Google alone looks at. And chasing the algorithm, for example, is understanding that a keyword density on your website should be 5.6%. So I'm going to go ahead and write content on my website that my top keywords have a density ratio of 5.6%. Well, that's bogus. You're essentially creating content to satisfy the search engine. Forget about the algorithm. Create good, relevant marketing material and distribute that marketing material into the highly authoritative, relevant places on the internet. And that's what's going to get you ranking, and you won't get hurt as Google changes and updates their algorithm. So the big secret to internet marketing is just providing value to the end user. Education. Kind of sounds like your industry, doesn't it? All right. So I had mentioned citations are merely web references. NAP is short form for name, address, and phone number, and you got to maintain your consistency for that. And you can go and get citations in a variety of different places, different data providers, public sources, location-based sites, theme-based sites, and social media. And I'm going to go over some of these right now. Now, we had already gone over data providers, so I'm not going to give you another slide with that. We'll jump right into some different public sources and location-based sites. And then we're going to talk about some acquisition strategies to obtain these citations for your practice. Now, location-based, local-based sites or location-based sites, these are going to be websites of businesses that are within your local community. They're going to be different. Well, search engines have different local aspects to them. For example, Chamber of Commerce, different networking groups that may exist, different newspapers, different publications like Patch and whatnot. So these are going to be local-based websites. And all the local search engines, they all tend to crawl each other. Crawling is where a search engine just goes out and gets information and then puts it into their database and then ultimately ranks you. There's a lot of local blogs that are going to exist in your area too. You can see, let me grab my pen here. You can see right here, this one right there. That's a search phrase on Google that you can do to find local blogs. You put in your geomod, which is your geographical modifier, Chicago blogs, or in my case, Lake in the Hills, or Crystal Lake blog. And that will ultimately help you find some local blogs, and you can create content. Contact the owner of that blog and say, look, I wrote this exclusively for you. Would you mind posting that? And then locally focused directories. A lot of the directories out there have different local aspects to them. Even I guess Craigslist in a sense is a local directory. Now, we don't utilize Craigslist as a strategy, but just to give an example, Yahoo's got a lot of different local aspects to it. Facebook has got a local search and whatnot. Now, theme-based sites is another area to acquire citations. These are going to be sites that have to do with your industry. A massage-based website, well, you're closely related to the massage industry. That would be a theme-based website. Or different wellness sites that exist out there. Websites that talk about people's wellness, yoga websites, eating websites, or food. And these are popping up all over the place right now. Especially, last year they say that kale was the big food that, provided crazy nutrition, and this year it's the cauliflower and whatnot. And there's just a lot of discussion about foods that are out there. Yoga is a big trend that's been changing. But these are theme-based websites, and of course chiropractic websites. So you focus on the different keywords for finding those sites, keywords. You just draw a list of all the different theme-related sites to chiropractic and go to Google. I use Google to go and find them. Different social networking sites, like the Ning Network, has got a variety of different chiropractic websites or social chiropractic sites that exist out there. So here's your first search phrase. You could utilize, just your geomod and directory to find, and then throw in your core term if you would like, or Google your theme keyword and directory to find different directories, or same thing for blog and whatnot. That would be chiropractic blog, wellness blog, yoga blog, and Google's going to give you a list of hundreds of different places to go and get, and that's where you're going to create content to get it distributed and ultimately get your citation on that. Now, social media is also a way of getting web references and creating content and having it shared and whatnot. But the social media is really an aspect of social interaction. And the whole idea of social interaction in the world of search engine optimization has flourished in the last 2 years. The more engagement that you can get from patients, and you guys are in a great industry for this, because you make people's lives better. You put a smile on people. You make them feel physically better. They're happy. You're hitting their emotion. In my case, you're affecting my children. There's nothing in this world that could get me more emotional than my kids. And when I had my chiropractor perform the Webster technique on my wife to evade cesarean section for my son, it changed my entire life. I've told that story hundreds and hundreds of times. It's absolutely unbelievable. So you could really utilize social media to get that, and the search engines see that. You remember the old expression, people eat at busy restaurants? Well, that's what the search engines are looking for, the busy restaurants, per se. The more that you're talked about and socialized and being discussed, that's going to help you. In addition, here I'd mentioned authority and trust. Well, you can go and hire somebody in India and go and get 100 or 1,000 likes on your Facebook page. Well, that's not going to help you. The search engines know this. They know where likes are coming from. They know where content is being shared from. In other words, you need people that have authority. Real people, real patients that are talking about your practice on their smartphone. If you try to mimic any of that, it's not going to help you in the end. That's reverse engineering the algorithm. It's going to catch up with you. The search engines are constantly updating their algorithm. As a matter of fact, Google has 500, they claim they have 500 updates to their algorithm on an annual basis. That's almost 2 updates a day. And they only disclose about 1 update every month. So they are constantly tweaking their search engine. So good quality marketing ultimately is going to help you build that authority that you're looking for and working with patients that are active on the social network. Now, here's a list of just some non-conventional citation ideas. I know some of these are a little bit off the wall, but a lot of you like to host different events. And a lot of chiropractors will bring in their patients, ask their patients to invite friends and family to have a talk. How many of you are recording those talks and posting those on Facebook? Not very many. How many of you are contacting the local Chamber of Commerce to say that you're having these events and asking the Chamber to put it on their website? Most of you aren't. You're just doing offline stuff. And this is something that they've taught you in chiropractic school that you should do on a regular basis. You guys are in the business of education. Of course, you do adjustments, but education is such an important piece of it. You know, the fact that my chiropractor makes suggestions that I should be eating chicken noodle soup on a regular basis, homemade chicken noodle soup. Why? Well, he gives me some education on it. I read about it, and I understand the science now behind why boiling bone marrow is important and why we forgot about it 100 years ago and why that's different than going buying Swanson's chicken broth. You know those little red boxes? I don't know. That's kind of cheesy to put in front of your chiropractic office, but that's a big citation right there. You know, you could have a red box installed right outside your office, and people could rent DVDs and whatnot. Uh, Redbox is listed on a whole variety of different sites that are out there, so you can get some neat citations. If you're in an old building, this is a big one. This is a very highly authoritative citation to get. Most old buildings are not registered with the National Registry of Historic Places. It's very, very relevant. But if you've got that opportunity, write a book. Whatever your focus is on. If you're focused in on sciatic nerve or pain management or wellness care, it's write content about it. And it's really easy. I can teach you guys how to get that book published really, really easy by utilizing Amazon and get it exposed out there and start to hand that out to patients. Instant credibility. Free Wi-Fi. If you've got internet in your office, allow your patients to have connectivity to your Wi-Fi network. And when you've got free Wi-Fi network, you can get yourself listed on a whole variety of different directories that exist out there, both theme-related directories and local-based directories. But that's a very big point. Offer free Wi-Fi and then get it listed. When you sponsor local events, let's say you throw $100 to the local college. Well, that college is going to list your business as a sponsor. That's a citation. Sell online. I'm not too sure about this one because this opens up a whole different avenue. But a lot of you will sell. You know, I buy my probiotics from my chiropractor. I buy my vitamin C from my chiropractor, and I pay 4 times the price as I would at, say, Walgreens. I forget the name of it. I probably should have brought that and put that on my desk. But taking those products and allowing your patients to buy these products through a website as opposed to having to come in gives you a lot of benefit, because now that you've opened up an e-commerce store, you can, one, set up reminders that they need to buy when their supplements are getting low. And number 2, you can get exposure on a variety of different directories as well. Also encourage your patients to check in at your office when they come in. You can check in with Google Group on Facebook, and then you can create a little QR code and put a sticker on your front door that says, check in when you're here. That's a big deal. Check-ins will greatly help your business. For $1,000, you can get a weather monitoring station and put it on the top of your building. Now you can get listed on a variety of different sites that are out there that have high authority. And I got to take that one. I don't even want to. I don't even know why I have that there. We don't. You don't want to install a cellular antenna on your property. So let's look at some strategies now on how to acquire some of these. Here's an example of just a local, one of my favorite places to go to, just to sit down and eat. And if I was providing services to a competitor of this restaurant, I would look at all of my competitors' citations. And the way that you can look at your competitors' citations is take your competitors' NAP, their name, address, and phone number, put it into Google, put quotation marks around it, and hit the return key. And in Google is going to show you all the websites on the internet that have that NAP on it. In other words, all the different citations that your competitors have acquired. And the beautiful thing about Google, Google also ranks them in terms of authority. So the #1 listing, if you can go and get that, and there's a rule of thumb that if you want to beat your competitors, get all of their citations +1. So competitive research for citation acquisition is also a very, very good strategy to acquire and get that type of exposure that's out there, as well as searching for your #1 keywords that are out there to find out who some of your competitors are, and then going and digging your competitors apart, reverse engineering some of their strategies. I had mentioned local directories and different local publications and different networking groups. So these are real physical groups. Meetup.com, for example. You go and join some meetup.com sites, and then when you say that you join, well, on meetup.com is going to have your name on there and your profile on there and your NAP. Well, that's high authority. If you are not a part of your local chamber of commerce, go and get a membership right now, even if it's for the purpose of getting a citation. For $20 a month, there's a tremendous value in that. You may not get patients directly from the Chamber of Commerce, but the search engines look at that and recognize that you're a part of the local community. That's what businesses do. And so that's a very easy way to get a good business citation. And then take your chamber logo, attach it to your website somewhere to say that you're a member of that, and link back to that Chamber of Commerce. What that does is that closes the circle and shows a center of trust between you and another website that Google ultimately already trusts out there. I mentioned different local networking groups through Meetup. You can find networking groups through Facebook. There's, the Lions Club. There's a whole variety of different networking groups that may be in your area. I obviously don't know them all. I'm not in your area. And here in Chicagoland, there's a publication that a lot of the chiropractors have in their office called Suburban Woman. And in there, these are free publications that are put out. So they make their money through advertisements and advertorials and whatnot. And you can find different networking groups that are in there and just different forums and whatnot. Joint ventures. I had mentioned some of this. There are many different businesses that have similar audiences as you guys, whether it be yoga studios, even martial art studios, massage therapists, acupuncture, natural food stores, organic food stores. There's going to be like-minded people, and these are very good opportunities that you would turn around and say, hey, look, I'm going to list you on my site because I believe in you, I like you as a doctor, or I like you as a nutritionist, and I want to send my patients to you. Would you do the same for me? Dentists are even another opportunity. I just read therapist, so maybe even mental therapists, but I don't know if you want to associate yourself with them. Volunteer and donation opportunities is one that I already mentioned as well. Whoops. And working with your audience profiles, that's something that I've definitely discussed throughout this presentation. Still see that we've got some late stragglers coming on the line, guys that have just come on late. For all those doctors, let's see who we've got here. Feel free to post your questions into the question box if you've got anything. I'm trying to keep this presentation to an hour, and I will answer the questions afterwards. I don't have a time frame. I'm not booked. I do have to pick up my son at 3:15, so that gives me 3 hours to, well, 2 additional hours to answer questions if need be. But at that point in time, he's number one. And right now, the United States. Does anybody have an update on that? The United States playing Canada for their game. I watched the first period before this presentation. But definitely, chiropractic care, as I've had mentioned a few different times, is such a big piece of my life. I'm now driven to be able to help chiropractors around the globe. I'm extremely passionate about this industry, having a chiropractor in the family and numerous different personal stories. It's just, God, it just gives me goosebumps. It's awesome, absolutely awesome. Back to some content here. Theme-related citations. Here's a directory. ACAtoday.org. That's the American Chiropractic Academy. A very good place to get theme-related citations. Now, one thing you don't ever want to do is go to a website. Don't ever do this. Pay for the purpose of a link or a citation. The only time that I feel that is okay is, for example, if you're making a donation. Now, hopefully you're making a donation for the good purpose of your heart and not just to get exposure. But I'll tell you, making donations to the local schools and whatnot will vastly help your exposure out there. Talked about theme-related authority exposure. In other words, it's not quantity, it's all quality. Where you get your stuff posted, and if you're creating good content to get it exposed, it takes work for every single citation. But you don't need a lot. We're not talking thousands of citations. We're only talking dozens to hundreds. I've mentioned different niche-based sites or different industry associations. I know in your industry you've got a variety of different associations. You've got some state associations. You've got some national associations that you can be a part of. And ensure that your NAP, that your name and address and phone number is congruent and consistent on all of these different associations. If not, go and get that stuff fixed. Different groups within Facebook and groups within LinkedIn, Google+. Join these different groups. Join the chiropractic groups that exist out there and list yourself and get exposed. Forums. Again, one thing I didn't mention is you can do a search for chiropractic forums, chiro forums, wellness forums, and participate in some of that content. And in a forum, you can have what's called a signature at the bottom of it, and that's going to be your practice name and your NAP, your name, address, and phone number. All right, social media. There's a statistic. I'm pulling this from the top of my head, so I could find a source if I get challenged for this. But between 50 and 55% of local businesses have a local website. Over 70% of local businesses have a Facebook page. But only 2%, 80% of consumers claim that when they're online, they utilize a search engine to find a local business. 80% of consumers. But only 2% of consumers utilize Facebook. So there's a big disconnect. Why? Well, Facebook has fooled us. It's got 1.2 billion people on it. I mean, yeah, you can advertise on Facebook. Some of you, um, I found you through Facebook, and it was an opportunity because you're on there. But I did deploy interruption marketing for that, which means I created an ad that was in the middle of your stream that I paid for. That hurts my conversion. There are other ways. For example, some of you have come aboard because I participate in different chiropractic communities, and I've earned the right to post a webinar like this and say, hey, guess what? You come check this out. And I assure you that my click-through rates and conversions are about 4 times that um, when I'm outside of social media and paid advertising. But creating viral content, for example, it's darn near impossible to know how to create viral content, but you can create viral content within your own community, your own audience, your own patients. That may be filming an adjustment. I'm on the search right now looking for pregnant mothers that are post their 30-week term and pre-week 37 that have a breech baby. Why? Because I believe so strongly in the Webster's technique that I don't think that there's enough people on this planet that know about it. Not even nearly enough. Unbelievable how little amount. Can you imagine how powerful of a video could be created and how that content could be ultimately shared and educate people? Well, it's you guys that they go to. So creating viral content. I showed you and I read that letter from my sister earlier today. Can you imagine that mom's feeling that in a 12-hour period her daughter has 12 epileptic seizures, and then she goes to the hospital. The hospital can't figure out why she's having these seizures and can't stop them, but a chiropractor decides to drive for 45 minutes and makes an adjustment and it stops. That's content that can go viral. QR codes. Um, they're the little their QR codes are. Sorry, I got off track. I was just thinking about chiropractic care. Um, well, I'll show you a QR code in one of the next slides coming up. But ultimately, when we talk about a review acquisition strategy, you can provide documentation, in-house printed documentation that has a QR code on it. Most people have smartphones these days. When they're waiting in your lobby, at least you guys don't have wait times like the medical world. But they can scan QR codes to get information on their phones and different videos and whatnot. I don't even talk about augmented reality. Wikipedia pages. Get involved in Wikipedia, and you can create Wikipedia content. A lot of you are involved in uncovering, not necessarily new techniques. I mean, I know there's a couple hundred different techniques that exist out there, but there's no content on Wikipedia today that talks about the different varying techniques. Whether you do manual adjustments or use a tool, or um, you focus in on pediatric care, or you do deal with the Webster's technique, or um, I'm getting a blank right now. The techniques that my chiropractor uses on me. Maybe one of you can type it in. It's a little bed that I lie on and pulls my torso apart and moves my legs kind of back and forth. And I got a slip of the tongue right now, wherever it is. I forget. So the more you really start to understand your audience, it's like, are you going to be a master in one area or a general contractor in many different areas? Well, the more focused in on areas that you are, the greater momentum you can create with your audience or your patients. All right, so the last pillar, pillar number 3, we've talked about profiles, we've talked about citations, and now we're going to talk about reviews and check-ins, as well as testimonials. So just a little bit about reviews and some of the benefits here. That quantity of reviews, this is an area where quantity does help, okay? The quality of the review, I got to be careful when I say this because, well, Yelp states that 85% of reviews on their network are 3 stars or more. So if you're a chiropractic practice that has a whole bunch of negative reviews, I got Scott and Joshua here telling me what the score of the game is. I'm a Canadian living in America, so I'm kind of biased, but U.S. was definitely outplaying Canada in the decompression. Thanks, Dane. It was decompression. The flexing distraction. I'm not familiar with that, but yeah, it's a decompression. But yeah, I'm a USA was definitely outplaying Canada, but nonetheless, quality of reviews versus quantity. And if your practice has a whole bunch of negative reviews, and a new patient, prospective patient, comes to your landing page and sees that, well, that's going to affect conversion. So, that's quality is definitely a big factor, but quantity, the search engines are not going to hurt you for poor quality reviews. Not today. Now, the search engines are getting a lot better at filtering out reviews, and when we talk about review authority, I'll get to that in a few moments, it definitely makes an impact. Well, like for example, when I say profile authority, let's say a disgruntled employee goes and you had to let them go for some reason, and they go and leave you a negative review. Well, more than likely, disgruntled employees typically will go create a bogus account and go and leave that review and never touch that account again. But if I'm on Yelp and I leave reviews of local businesses in my area on a regular basis, I've got an authoritative profile. If I go to Yelp and I leave reviews for 15 different chiropractors and 15 different markets, why would a search engine trust me? I don't have a lot of authority. Now, when we really want to help a business rank, what we'll do is we'll identify patients or customers of my customer that have high authority on the internet, and we don't go and solicit reviews. Soliciting reviews, by the way, is a violation of terms and conditions of almost all the search engines that exist. I don't advise soliciting reviews, nor do I advise having your patients leave reviews on your computer in the office. Now, it's okay for them to leave a review on their mobile device. And what if a patient says, "Thank you, you've made me feel better. I can walk, or I can do this, or I can do that." Well, they've just given you a review in the real world. You're not soliciting a review when you say, "Hey, thanks for saying a good thing. Do you mind going and leaving me a review online of what you just said?" That's not soliciting a review. So a lot of these review sites out there have different review filters. And that's when certain reviews are left out. Typically, a review is filtered out when the authority is not achieved, or there's not enough authority, as well as the search engine also prioritize their reviews based off of authority and different factors like that. So we're going to talk about some review acquisition strategies now, in a little bit, just how you can get more reviews on a regular basis and train some of your staff to help you get different reviews. Before I do that, I wanted to mention rich snippets. This was that HTML markup language. Sometimes they're going to send you a postcard saying thank you. I've seen handwritten letters from children, and those are extremely powerful. Scan it, get it on your website, wrap it with an HTML code so the search engines know that that is a review. Utilize that information. You guys get that stuff. I know you do. So we'll take a look at some of the different review sites there. And then social check-ins. It's not a really big factor in ranking, but it does demonstrate social activity. It does demonstrate, that eat at a busy restaurant syndrome. And then finally, online reputation management is something that's important. On a regular basis, you see reviews, they just pop up on your profiles, you don't know about them. There's nothing that's pushed that's out there. You should have a system where you're monitoring reviews on all the major sites on a regular basis. You can create, there's different tools out there, paid tools like with Bright Local or Google Alerts to tell you about when certain reviews are particularly left. Well, here's a list of these are 9 of the major sites out there that have influence on the internet for reviews. All right. Now, reviews accomplish 3 things, guys. They help you in ranking, so that's getting higher on Google. They help you in conversion, in other words, whether a patient's going to decide to go with you or another chiropractor. And the one that's often missed is called service area establishment. Now, take, for example, we're going to take 2 geographical areas in the United States. We're going to take downtown Manhattan and somewhere in Iowa. A patient will drive a much greater distance in Iowa to visit their chiropractor because population rates are less saturated, as well as chiropractic establishments are less saturated, versus being downtown Manhattan that has a chiropractor, all over the place. So service area changes based off of geographical location. Now, a good chiropractor that has built a really good relationship with their patients will tend to attract patients that will drive a farther distance than the chiropractor down the street. Well, how do you demonstrate that to the search engines? One of my chiropractic clients locally here gets patients from 3 towns over now. His service area is over a 10-mile radius, whereas competitors are between 4 and 5 miles. Reviews help establish your service area. Your service area is defined by where your patients live. So the more reviews you get, the bigger the service area the search engines are going to see for you. Google is always saying that, we're not going to tell you what our ranking information is. This is the only place I've ever seen directly from Google that says specifically what one of the factors are for ranking. And this is in the review section. It's just proof to say that reviews do influence ranking. Now, all of you, Scott, I'm going to kick you off this line. He just tells me now it's 2-0 USA. It's a good thing we have the same name and I like your name. That's all right, because tomorrow the men are going to take, wow, that'd be something else if US won both of them. That would be a real kick in the noggin, because last 3 Olympics? No, last one and the one prior to that, it was USA, Canada, all around. But all of you have got to implement a review acquisition strategy into your practice. If there's one thing that you're going to get from this, this is the one thing that you should be implementing immediately. And I'm going to talk about what that is. I already talked about quantity versus quality. Actually, let me go back. Yeah, when I talk about the review acquisition strategy, that's coming up in a couple of slides. So a review has got different components that we've talked about at different profiles. I had mentioned those. People leaving different reviews. I've discussed the different filters. why reviews are filtered out and why some of them aren't. I've discussed the rich snippets, that's the HTML markup language to wrap certain reviews on your website, and then the review acquisition strategy. You can download my strategy, you can do whatever you would like with it and whatnot. And then finally, understanding the different review sites that exist out there. Now, I had already mentioned this statistic here that on Yelp, 85% of all reviews on the internet are positive. And reviews that average, have a lower average score, really have a lot less trust in them. So my customers, they get tied up frequently on negative reviews. Don't get tied up on negative reviews. You're not going to get a lot of them, especially in the chiropractic industry. You implement a review acquisition strategy, you have a lending ear for those positive reviews, don't worry about it. Unless you get a bunch of negative reviews, 2 or 3 or 4 negative reviews in a week or a 2-week period from different patients, don't be concerned by it because of profile authority. And your profiles on the internet that have reviews that are popping up, so if you're sending people to Google to leave reviews or Yelp, that's establishing your profile authority. The more engagement, the more social engagement that you have within your profiles, the more authority your profiles are going to gain and the more likely that you're going to rank higher. All right, so the review acquisition strategy is educating your patients on the best practices and the different tools that they can utilize to leave reviews. Okay, in a few moments, you're going to be able to download this review acquisition strategy. Email marketing. I don't know how many of you are collecting email addresses of your patients. If you're not, you absolutely should. This is a fantastic way to drive education to your patients, to get them to see. There's 3 ways that you can grow your practice. You can get new patients, you can increase your patient spend, and you can increase your patient spending frequency. Well, new patients is the hardest way to go, but you need a certain number of patients to survive. Increasing your patient spend, for example, would be having upsells, selling some of these nutritional products, partnering with a massage therapist and getting a little bit of revenue from that, or having an in-house massage therapist or acupuncture. And then increasing their spend frequency. Well, you got to be on a fine line for that. You know, I try to go visit my chiropractor on a regular basis, and I hear people tell me, well, once you start going to a chiropractor, you got to keep going. Well, once you start brushing your teeth, you got to keep brushing your teeth. You got to keep showering. Well, yeah, of course. But you've got to educate them on the reasons for that. Now, you're not going to try to increase your patient spend by suggesting to them that they come and see you twice a week when they don't have to. That would just be unethical. That's bad business. But email marketing surely can demonstrate, and you can showcase a lot of different ways. You guys are on my list. And with email marketing, the one thing you don't want to do is spam. Spamming is very, very bad. I have what's called an opt-in, where I only send emails to people that have asked for it. And I've created an autoresponder. So once they opt into my list, you guys are going to continue to get emails from me on a weekly basis. One of the rules of anti-spam laws is you got to have a one-click opt-out, which means if you don't want to be on my list, that's fine. Just go and click a button and get off of it. Because if you don't want to see my material, I probably don't want to be talking to you anyhow. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. The fact is I'm in business to talk to people that are interested in hearing what I have to say. Some people may not want to talk to me because of the way I may dress or the tonality that I use. So be it. You can't make everybody happy in this world. But email marketing is absolutely critical. If you don't have an email marketing campaign in your practice, look into it. A blog. It's very, very important. Through email, you can create content on a weekly basis. Coming directly from the doctor, you can create a video and get it up there in 15 minutes. You can spend and write on a blog. And what's interesting is once you start writing blog posts, guess what? After 6 months of doing it, you now have a book. You can take that same content and get it published, or have it as a downloadable guide that when somebody comes to your website, because when people come to your website, you've spent all that time and energy getting a new prospective patient to a website, they've got to take a call to action. They're either going to, of course you want them to pick up the phone and set up an appointment, but only Google says 98% of prospects that go to a local business website leave and never come back. So you've got to have a downsell opportunity to try and capture their information. And then once you've created a list of blog posts, you go back to email marketing. Get my little pen out here. You know, once you create a whole variety of different blog posts, I don't know what I'm doing. Here we go. There. Once you create a variety of different blog posts, as I mentioned, you can go and create an ebook out of it or an actual published book. And then you've got your email marketing that you're collecting a whole bunch of names and addresses, and you drive them to all the different blog posts that you've created over time. You're regurgitating information for new prospects. So as soon as they get on the list, boom, they go to blog post 1, and then blog post 2, and then number 3, and then number 4. And then this is content that you're creating that ultimately has value. And guess what? Before you know it, you're going to be having other websites that point to your different blog posts. And guess what those are? Those are all new citations. Maybe the local massage therapist is going to get on that and then start going, holy cow, you know, Doc's got a lot of, oh, sorry. We had an update there that wanted to pop up. Oh, that went back quick. You can also drive, through email marketing, you can drive content to different theme sites to give credibility to yourself, that it's just not coming out of your mouth. You are creating social proof to your patients to say that, hey, you know, utilizing that example that I used before, chicken soup is good for you. Homemade chicken soup, not the stuff that you buy. And I actually learned that it's not just chicken soup, it's boiling any bone marrow. I learned that it's very good for, I mean, we live in an over-medicated world. Everybody on the line knows this. How many kids are taking, well, don't get me started with vaccines, but pills for ADD and ADHD and depression and OCD and all these acronyms that never existed 50 years ago. You know, the looks on people's faces when I tell them that, hey, one of the best combats for that is chicken noodle soup. You remember when your mom, when you were a kid and she would give you chicken noodle soup and you felt a little bit better? Guess what? There's science behind that. It's awesome. Drive education to the end user. I'd mentioned testimonials, okay? I mean, testimonials are great, especially if you can get them on video. And the reason being is, well, here, I'm looking at the research. This was a study that was done. And there are 3 ways that we have to influence human behavior. We've got, sorry about that. We've got the words we say, our language. We got our tonality, the tone of my voice. Like, I want to go to the store, or I want to go to the store. And then you've got our physiology. And those 3 ways have got different weights as to how to influence human behavior. Just think of sales. And you go to a website. You've really only got language working for you. But when a salesperson is selling on the phone, they've got their tonality working for them. And then finally, visual. And the truth is I can go around and show you guys my camera right now. You don't really want to look at me because I'm working from my house. I'm not in my office, and I'm sporting my Canada hat. But visual is very, very important, and there's a lot of benefit and value to that. So video testimonials rock, and they really, really add all the factors to influence human behavior. Now, when I say the tips, address objections. Well, when you're talking and you're coaching your patient to leave a testimonial, people get scared behind a camera. They feel the pressure, and that's okay. And it's okay to show that on screen too. But you'll want to get them to address some of the objections, such as one of the objections we know about chiropractic care is once I go, do I have to keep going? Well, tell your patient about that. Say, Mr. Patient, just share on the camera why you keep coming back. And let them go. You never really want to fake it. You don't want to script it. Just let them go. Let people be real, because we can see through that all. It's so easy for us to see through fakes. Encourage specifics. Why did you start coming to me? Why did you start coming to see a chiropractor? What has these adjustments done for you over what period of time? What would you recommend to somebody? So video, and I'll tell you, like, it's so easy to make these testimonial videos. You can do them on an iPhone. You don't need special equipment or lighting or anything. Now, of course, better equipment is better, but I've been going through a lot of the different benefits of video testimonials. As I say here, it increases online assets. Well, guess what? Video testimonials are great to drive your email audience too. It increases your call to action, your CTA that you're looking for. All great benefits here. So, when you want to ask, when they're on a high about your particular services that you're offering, that's a good time to ask them for a testimonial. Obviously, in person is best, but it's not wrong to ask about in telephone or by email. And then I say, make it about them. Hey, Mr. Patient, I'm so happy that you're happy with our adjustment care, and I'm happy that you're living a better life, as you tell me. Do you want to share that with the world? That's making it about them. And you don't really need incentives, just thank yous. You don't need to pay somebody for that. As a matter of fact, I think that's wrong. Some of the incentive might be, hey, people like to be in a spotlight, guys. Most people do. And if you're going to profile one of your patients and put them on your website, they're going to love it. They usually do. I got to speed up my presentation. I was just going to review some of the different factors here, but we're getting towards the end, and I know I've committed to keeping you guys for an hour. But we could just, focus on specific benefits. Now, when I talk about certain benefits, I think of, we call them FABs in sales. FAB, a feature, an advantage, and a benefit. And I could take anything on my desk right now and try and sell it to you. And I'm going to pick, I like to collect, I have some rocks on my desk here, so I've got a rock in my hand. And the feature of that rock is that it's hard. The advantage of that rock is that I can hit my employees over the head when they're not working. And the benefit is that I may get more work out of them. Okay, I know that's a poor example. Maybe not a poor example, but a silly example. But you can take any product or service and discuss the features, the advantages, and the benefits. Understand what benefits are. And the benefits of your practice is not the adjustment. That's the feature. The advantage to the adjustment is that the body is in better communication and can heal itself quicker. But the benefit is that people have better lives. People are happier. People feel better. And so you could take your own techniques and talk about the benefits of certain techniques, because that's really where value is. I know I digressed, but benefits, definitely you want them conveyed in testimonials. Honesty is very, very important. Relevancy for your specific audience. If you're a pediatric chiropractor, where your focus is definitely try to stay on topic and address the objections. And you guys deal with a lot of objections. A lot of objections. I don't want to spend a lot of time in rich snippets because it is programming. This is that HTML markup, but again, that's getting reviews onto your website. It's amazing how many websites don't have this. If you've got reviews, get your web developer, and it's called hreview. I wonder if if you go to Google and you just do a search for Google, rich snippets, you're looking for something called an hreview. I can't write this out. That's the markup you're looking for, is an hreview markup language. To wrap that, there's also authorship and other HTML markups that are important, but that there is very, very important for websites. Microdata, RDF, those are just different ways of doing it. That's more for your web developer to know. But ultimately, you want to make sure that it's marked up. And these are the HTML tags. All right, so different strategies to acquire reviews. We're going to get through this. This is our review acquisition strategy here. You can download this document, have it help you train your staff on how to encourage multiple reviews. What it does is it's also an overview of different reviews and some of the different things I've talked about. What are they reviews, the value of receiving reviews, the different sites that are out there, and the implications of reviews to the search engines and what's good and bad that's out there. It also gives you a customer email template that's in there. When somebody wants to leave a review, you say, well, just give me your email address. Boom, you've collected their email address. 2, I'm going to send you an email that discusses on how to do this easy with links, so you don't have to go fumbling around. I'll make it really easy for you, Mr. Patient. So this document that you can download. This here is a postcard that we create for our clients. This is an actual client of ours. This is the front of the postcard. And when somebody says, oh, thank you, Doc Galante. Thank you, Dr. Galante. You've done a great job. His staff will turn around and say, well, thanks for saying that. And then they'll hand them this postcard. This is the front of the postcard. And on the back of the postcard it gives them instructions on how to leave a review and where to go. One further step that you can do, I happen to have grabbed an old file here. I just realized this right now. But since QR codes are out, QR codes are those square barcodes. And, they got a bunch of junk and stuff like that in here. And they could take their phone and scan that barcode right there in the office and go and leave a review, and it sends them to this site. This site here is a URL that we can control, and we randomize it. We'll give 2 or 3 different sites and then mix up all the cards. So some of the reviews are going to Yelp, some of them are going to Google, some of them are going to Bing and whatnot, and it just gives them instructions. Here's just a list of different review sites that exist out there. I mean, these are 9 of the big ones. Pretty obvious. I've discussed review filters. Now, keep in mind that review filters, reviews, they never ever get deleted. It's an algorithmic process, algorithms. So the best reviews are the ones that are true word of mouth and are absolutely unsolicited reviews. And both positive and negative reviews can be affected by these filters. All right. Give me a second here. For everybody that's on the line, I am going to send you a link right now on GoToWebinar. I'm going to send it to everybody that's on the line. I got to go and grab it from my server here. We use an Amazon S3 server. And because I told you that I was going to give you the download link for it. So everybody should have that on GoToWebinar. You can go and download that right now. Let me get back to where I was. So you now really have some choices that you need to make for your chiropractic firm now that you've understood and learned some of this information here and whatnot. You can continue and learn and implement some of these strategies in-house. There's a lot of benefits to that, but there's also some implications to that it's going to cost either you or your staff time. And then, of course, there's the education and learning curve. You can go ahead and you can hire an agency to do some of this for you. Now, of course, I got to recommend that when you do hire an agency, make sure no matter who you're talking to, talk to at least 3 different agencies. You're going to hear different flares and different conversations. Stay away from agencies that talk about chasing the algorithm. Or you can do nothing and just try to build your practice old school. So with that, obviously, this is where we've got some additional resources for you guys. I'm going to share some of these resources for you in a moment that you can go and grab. But before we do, I've got just a 2-minute video that I'd like you to hear. And if I can get the play button here.
Hi, I'm Dan Conity from Brooks Courier Service, located in Wilmington, Delaware. And I wanted to say a few words about Scott Gallagher, who we met here at the NCAA several years ago. Scott provided us with nice marketing materials that we're able to hand out to potential customers that have very nice graphics and so forth. So we've been very pleased with the service that we have received.
Hello, my name's Larry Schwartz. I'm president of Barron Messenger Service out of sunny South Florida. We recently did search engine optimization with Scott Gallagher, and it got us to the #2 spot in less than 6 months.
Hi, my name is Mark Spencer from Wireless Consulting in New York. I've been working with Scott Gallagher, who offered us some incredible insight and some awesome internet marketing strategies that really helped our company.
What I liked about Scott was real solid principles for an ongoing business.
Had the course in my hands physically for about 2 weeks, and already I've booked 2 clients from just using the information in module 1.
I had 5 clients, and that allowed me to quit my job.
I was able to go out and get my first client within the first few weeks. Hi, my name's Rob Johnstone. I'm with Priority Express Courier in Philadelphia and Edison, New Jersey. We realized that we need a little more direct impact and get in front of customers more consistently, and that's what Scott's really helped us with our emailing, blast efforts, and helping optimize our website so that now we're popping up #1. It's been a good relationship.
My name is Stephen Nesbitt, and I am the sales director for Complete Innovations out of Toronto, Ontario. Scott helped us achieve #1 ranking for the most competitive keyword on Google. He's the man.
I do have a book that I've written. It's called Internet Marketing for Chiropractors. That's going to be released on Amazon next week. I've created a full series autoresponder for you guys. So those of you that are on my list and aren't interested in purchasing anything, you are receiving a bunch of free content and training on a regular basis. If you don't like it, get off that list. And rebranding ourselves, that I am going full force with chiropractors. So this is the first time that I'm doing this type of webinar, but we do have a lot of successes in a lot of different areas. I do have, if I do earn the right or the opportunity to do business with you, you can definitely contact my chiropractic clients and talk to them. We wanted to ultimately get results with them, and we've gotten results. And so you can go and take a look at that. So here's a few different things about different results that you should expect if you're hiring an agency, regardless of who you hire. Now, understanding that patient value is between $300 and $2,400. Gosh, I'm having a brain fart as to where I got that from, but it's definitely within the chiropractic industry. So and they say that the average patient is worth about $1,200 a year. And anytime that you hire an agency, it's all about return on investment. In other words, your margins are going to be between 40 and 70%. We understand that. And when you're spending money on marketing, it's not just to get the revenue for it, but also minus your expenses and ensure that you're profitable and getting that. Depending on where you are and whatnot, you can expect to get 2 to 5 new patients per week. In a small town of 30,000, one of our chiropractors is getting 2 patients a week. But if you're in Chicago, for example, it would be higher than that. Now, it does take time, anything that you do, depending on how far you are exposed and whatnot, a maximum of 6 months that it's going to take to get top results, period. But you could start seeing results in as little as 2 months down the road. If you're not getting results from your agency after 5 or 6 months, fire them. Now, I hate the term SEO. We're not SEO experts. We're marketing experts. We're a marketing company. And we create marketing material that has value and distribute that marketing material throughout the internet. And so some of the things that are going to be done for your practice, should we have the opportunity to earn your business, is we're going to create different education and conversion videos to be able to help out and give your audience. Local public relations, that's creating content that's going to be produced through the local newspapers and whatnot. We're going to manage and help you collect as many reviews as possible on a weekly basis and go and look at that. We're going to improve your conversion on your website to increase the call to action. We're going to ensure social media engagement with Facebook, Google Plus, and whatnot. And in the end, create email marketing campaigns if necessary to increase patient retention and satisfaction. All right, so what are you going to do now? There's the cover of my book. You could go and buy it in a couple of weeks. It's going to be $10. It's, I don't know, it's 110 pages long. It's a pretty good read. But you've got different choices to make and you know what to do. First off, I would stay on my list just to see what some of the things that are going to be sent out. It is an autoresponder. You'll be able to do that. But the reason for this is I'm not here to earn the right to your business yet today. I'm here to earn the right to give your practice a free online assessment and analysis. And my next slide is my last slide. There's no cost to this. It's going to take 15 minutes of your time, and we're going to give you different reports about your business. Now, understand, I'm being upfront, that our objective is to earn the right to your business. We do want to do that, and we do have exclusivity, meaning that we will not take a chiropractor inside of your service area. We will establish a service area together, and we will never take a chiropractor for as long as you're a client that's inside your service area. And just like how Russia lost the gold medal, they considered themselves a failure. We are the same way, that if we do not get you number one, we have failed. Another thing you can do is, I'd mentioned local marketing source. We have a membership training program. It's $100 a month, and you can train your staff for everything that we do. There's over 100 videos in there. Some of those testimonials you heard were from my students. I actually trained them how to build an agency like this, and we got some pretty successful students. So you got that option. But ultimately, I do want to earn the right to your service. You can hire One Marketing to do this. Now, take your pen and paper and write this down. bit.ly/marketing analysis. There, you're going to see a quick video, a 68-second video, and the opportunity to sign up. If you want to decide, it's only name, first name, last name, and phone number. You hit the little submit button. I'll call you personally. I'm dealing with my chiropractors head on, and set up this online assessment. And so just what the online assessment is going to give you, I'm going to cover some of the stuff right now. Or you can send me an email. There's my email right there. So here's a couple of reports. We're going to give you two types of reports. We call it driving traffic and converting traffic. Driving traffic, we're going to do some initial keyword research. Remember, this is all free, guys. This is my attempt to try to earn the right to your business. We're going to do keyword research for you. We're going to give you an on-site website analysis report. This is going to talk about all the different things on your website that we feel that need improvement. You can turn around and take that and go give that to your web developer. I don't care. If you hire us, we'll take care of it for you. We're also going to, remember I talked about competitive analysis? We're going to give you a competitive analysis report, and then I'm going to give you step-by-step instructions on what you need to do to improve. And on the converting the traffic side, we're going to give you an audience group analysis. So I'm going to learn about your practice and what type of audience you're dealing with and segment your audience, and then different suggestions and tips on how to improve the conversion for each group. In other words, at no charge, I'm going to give you a system. This is not computer generated. This is all manual generated. I spend our time into this. I'm going to be working on this directly myself with chiropractors at least for the next year of my growth. I did very, very well in the courier industry. I saturated the courier industry. I know how to dominate in the industry. And I'm just now breaking into the chiropractic industry. And as I'd mentioned, it's because of passion. So having said that, I hope I went through my sales pitch quick enough. I hope that you guys feel like that you've gotten value from this presentation. And if there's any questions that you guys have, now's a good opportunity to start raising your hand and letting me know of any questions that you might have.